Hey, my name's Blue. Welcome to my shed. This is a YouTube film or series of films I'm attempting to do about my XC Fairmont GXL. I've had this car for 20 years and it's time to do her up, put her back on the road. So without further ado, we'll stop looking at me and we'll look at the car. So here's a photo of it some years ago when it was on the road, and it looked very pretty and all the rest of it, but at the end of the day she was hiding a lot of corrosion. So several years ago I decided to start working on the car, and I'll try and put together a series of photos and add them to a clip, and it shows how bad the corrosion was. So bit of history, this car was originally purchased in Griffith, New South Wales, May 1979 by the Campbell family. And when I went to buy the car, I really wanted a coupe. And I'm someone who's pretty stupid. I owned a coupe when I was a kid and didn't see the value of it, and sold it to a mate who on-sold it, and we both hate each other. Hate ourselves, I mean, ever since for selling on our coupes. So by the time I bought this car 20 years ago, a coupe was already out of my price range at that time. So what was the next best thing? Well, according to Street Machine magazine in 1997, this particular Street Machine, they said this car, the Fairmont GXL, the GT that wasn't. And look, I've always just been an XC fan. I love them. I've had several XCs and ZH Fairlanes over my lifetime. So I bought this car. It's a matching numbers 351. It was an FMX Auto, and I converted it initially to 4-speed, then to 5-speed. It's currently running a LPG system, as you can see, a gas research twin carby setup, 840 CFM. It's got some niceties in the engine. You know, it's got a good inlet manifold, it's got extractors, it's got roller rockers, crow springs, JP twin rod timing chain, crow cam, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, I've never actually taken the engine out of the car, and it runs well to this day. It runs really well, but the Welsh plugs do need to be done at some point. They've never been done to my knowledge. I literally re-ringed it in situ in a carport in Western Sydney years and years ago. So now I'm going to take the engine out because I'm going to replace the cross member and put in a reinforced cross member into the car as part of this build. So how long is a piece of string when it comes to a car rebuild? Or, well, it depends on what you want to do. For me, I just want the thing looking original, but I want it to be a really good everyday driver again. This was my everyday driver for many years, and I want to put it back on the road so I can enjoy it and drive it long distance as well. So as a consequence, the LPG is going. The LPG is good, but if you want to do long range, and I mean interstate range, heading up, you know, maybe Northern Territory, North Queensland, take the thing for a big run, then really you need to be on fuel. The other thing is, I really like the way these new fuel systems that are on the market now make the car with the engine bay look retro. So you can even put a factory air filter back on. So I like that, and you get your fuel tank back, as you can see, the dirty big old LPG tank. So as good as Gas Research is, I've got nothing against their product. I think it's magnificent. I'm going to go back to fuel, which means I have to find a fuel tank. Don't start me. So anyway, where we are with the car is that both the sills have been replaced, so A through C pillar, and I've done all this work myself, and I'm no panel beater, but as you can see, maybe you can't, but I've done the A through C pillars, and that was a real learning curve on how these things are built, how to break the spot welds apart, and put panels back into alignment and all the rest of it. Also did the rear quarters, and this is the first weld job I've ever done on a car in my life, and I'm going to do it again. The reason is the panel I bought didn't include, I was going to point here, this area here. So this is old, and all down here and I've got a new rare spares panel which includes this section. So this is still original, and look, it's rusted and it would take too much bog. So it's all good metal there, but it cut off here. So the new one I've got, which I think I can get easy access to, I've got it sitting in the back of the car here. Excuse this bad footage, I've just got caught up in the car. Oh, amateur footage, sorry about that. And as you can see now, it'll have the whole piece going around behind the bumper bar. So this will be a better fit. I've got a rare spares part on the other side, so I've done the left hand as well. Left hand sill's been done, and as you can see, it came up a bit nicer, you know, but you learn as you go. So there's still got to be some bog, but at the end of the day, you really can't escape that. If you have a look here, this is, you can see, maybe see in the film, I'm not sure, if you see some divoting here, that's because there's all lead in here from original. So they actually had levels of putty or filler in the cars out of factory. That's how they did it. So as long as you haven't got much, well, that's what I reckon. Some people might disagree, but I don't think you're ever going to escape having some sort of filler in the car. Behind the tail lights here, that's all been rebuilt. The left-hand torque box had to be rebuilt. But really good news about this car, and the reason I bought it 20 years ago, just coming around my hoist here, there's no rust. The first thing I did when I bought it 20 odd years ago is I knocked out the windscreen, cleaned in behind here, behind the screen frame, and joy oh joy, there's no rust. And also under the vent here, same again, she's clean. So I got really lucky. So there was a bit of rust behind this particular guard in the torque box, and I did a rebuild in there. But there's no rust coming through the kick panels like my old Fairlane that I had before this, which is a car I wrecked and then part built this up. Long story, I won't go there right now. Both the guards were cut and shut, and a lesson in life, the sill on the left hand side here is its second job. I paid a guy to do this many years ago, and rather than replace the sill with a whole channel extrusion, and I'll show you what one of those looks like here. Here's one I bought and decided not to use because it didn't have all the pieces, but what I mean is the whole extrusion. He simply cut out the outer of it and just did a dodgy piece. Cut through the frame of the car to break the spot welds, and I'll show you that later. But anyway, look, buyer beware. Started buying some things for the car to put it back together. The interior is all sitting up my mezzanine. It's all good, and maybe I might use those wheels yet. But new door handle here, because one of them was broken, and managed to find a new one online. Geez, I couldn't believe A, how cheap it was, and the quality of these retro builds that are out there now. And it's pretty cheap really to buy parts, and we shouldn't complain. This is a new cross member I'm going to put in. This was pretty cheap in reality, and this is the engine cross member, and it's got a nice 6mm plate in it, so that'll be a lot stronger. That was a real fault with the XA, B, C, D, E series, even the F, I think. So anyway, first things first, I'm starting at the rear from where we are at the moment. So like I said, it's had a lot of rust repairs done. The engine's got to come out because the cross member's got to be repaired, and the radiator cross member has rust in it as well, so I need to do repairs to that. So we'll chuck it up on the hoist, and anyone's interested, this is just a hoist for a home garage. It's not a commercial grade thing. So up we go. That'd be embarrassing if it fell off, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'll just make sure, I like to do this while it's at a low level and less likely to kill anyone, namely me. Just make sure she's nice and firm, sitting good. on the hoist before I continue going all the way up, and it all looks pretty good, so rock and roll. So what I'm going to do is take the diff out and paint the diff and replace the shackle joints because they're rusted and stuffed, and I'll replace the forward bushing on the leaf springs. And we'll have a quick look under the car, and then I'll cut the film away, and I guess we'll go through a few other things that have been done to it. Alright, that's max height. Best thing I ever bought, I think. Well, no best thing, but a great thing, having a hoist. Worth the money. I think it was only about, geez, it's cost me under $3 to put the hoist in, and that includes putting concrete footings in. So underneath here, the car's actually pretty new in a lot of areas. So those shock absorbers haven't done 1,000k, nor's that sway bar, that's all new. The springs really done about 40,000k use, they're King springs, but the shackles are done diddly, so we'll replace them. So you can see there's no paint on the diff, so I just want to, the car needs to be able to move forward and aft and all the rest. I need to get it in and out of the hoist here, so I just want to take it out, clean it up, put some new oil in it. Now, I've been assured by an old mate of mine that if I take that nut out there, the oil will actually drain out of it. We'll see if he's right. I'm hoping he's right. I had the tail shaft balanced years ago. The car's got a cruise control fitted, so don't know what that is. That's just a magnet for the inductive pickup on the bracket there. T5 gearbox, as I said. It's got a twin plate clutch, Dello housing. This thing just needs a good old clean up here, but here's the point of case. You know, the cross member, it's bent, it's not great, and that same panel beater that I was talking about before did that repair there, and look, it's not great, is it? So I'm gonna have to get in and fix this up. Also, the cross member for the radiator, and that's why we're here. Gonna have to do repairs to that now. I don't know if I'll be able to cut enough metal out of that and replace all this. I'm hoping I can, or I'm going to have to try and find one and cut the whole thing out and put a new one on. We'll see, but she's had some corrosion there. New springs, shocks, bushes. As you can see, it's a really thick sway bar I chucked on it. The thing handles all right. The brakes, virtually new discs, pads. XF calipers are a standard mod for anyone that's interested in getting better brakes out of an old XA, B, C, D. Put the XF calipers in, which are a Gerlock aluminium caliper, and I believe, don't quote me, but they're a bigger piston than standard, and they're a whole lot lighter. Look, it doesn't bring you up to the twin piston BA brake standards of a new car, but it is an upgrade, and it's a cheap one to do if you want to improve your brakes. What else we do? Oh, this is another repair. So these were just smashed. These are the seat rails, and this thing was just pancaked. And my son-in-law and I took them out. And again, you can probably see that's a weld where a spot weld was. I think there's one there. Another one through there. So you have to de-spot weld it, took it out, and we just panel beat it back into shape, and then I welded a couple of doublers over there, so where the seat bolt goes through, it's just got more meat. It was pretty easily done, because at the time when I did this, no one supplied the seat cross members for the XABC. You can get it for an XY, but not this model. So I just repaired these, and I'm pretty happy with that, so we'll just leave them. Like I said, I'm no professional when it comes to automotive repairs. I've got another profession, but we'll leave that alone in the mechanical world. But anyway, that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. Hopefully my videos help someone else out, because there's been plenty of videos that have helped me out, and that's why my wife said it's about time I did something like this. So cheers.